I'm just going to come out and say it. There is nothing that we have seen that suggests that law enforcement or school districts made the wrong decision or a rash decision in holding 500,000 kids home from 1,000 schools across the Denver metro area today. The fact is, there is a stream of disturbed Americans who keep coming to Columbine. We don't hear about most of them. Investigators chose to sound the alarm on the one who came during the week that we remember that shooting and who immediately bought a gun. The man who is charged with protecting Columbine knows that that young woman, who's now dead by her own hand, will not be the last to make what he calls the pilgrimage.
If I have any message, we're not a place to come visit if you're not a student. If you don't have business there, we're not a tourist attraction, and we're not a place for you to come and gain inspiration.
That woman was found dead in Clear Creek County late this morning. Our Steve Stager is up there near Echo Lake, where a frantic search ended.
And Kyle, I want to give you an idea of where we're standing. So just to my left here is the road that leads up to Mount Evans. The lodge for Echo Lake is just behind photojournalist Tom Cole right there. This search ended about started about 9 o'clock this morning when Clear Creek County got some sort of a tip. They headed back into the wilderness here, about a half a mile from where we're standing right now. And that is where they found this woman with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. There were several different agencies here, Clear Creek County Sheriff's Office. The FBI obviously had to look into some of the evidence here on the scene. And also Denver Mountain Parks, because it's so close to that area. But really helpful, the sheriff says, was the Alpine Rescue Team, because they were able to help get the remains of that woman out of the wilderness and into a van. And they took those remains down to Idaho Springs, Kyle, where the coroner will do an autopsy here. And that's the end of the investigation for Clear Creek County. As far as that goes, the FBI does plan to continue that investigation to figure out why she was drawn here and what she was doing in those hours that they were looking for her.
Steve Stager reporting from Clear Creek County. Thank you, Steve. We've talked about the idea of no notoriety with you for years now, the idea of limiting attention for people who might seek it while they are threatening or exacting violence in our society. So we've already started minimizing the use of the woman's name and photograph. It's a choice that we made shortly after we heard there was no longer a danger. A number of you have been asking questions around the threats in this case, the concerning statements, as well as the gun purchase. Brad asking, how did she qualify to buy a gun? The complexity in all of this has to do with the fact that she lives in Florida. Now, that's a state that recently outlawed all gun sales to people under the age of 21. Here in Colorado, people between 18 and 20 years old are allowed to legally buy shotguns. 9 Wants to Know investigative reporter Chris VanderBean has been looking into this issue. And Chris, first things first, we know that this weapon that she purchased locally, that was about noon on Monday.
That's true, Colin. It's at a gun store less than 2 miles away from Columbine High School. Nothing terribly out of the ordinary on the visit, according to the owner.
It's really upsetting.
At Colorado gun broker, Josh Rayburn knows the world might look at his store a little differently today.
I just wanted to let everybody know how upsetting it is.
Upsetting and unforeseen, he says, considering he says he did everything right.
It was a real normal transaction. There was no flags at all.
She filled out the paperwork. The state came back maybe 10 or 20 minutes later saying this.
She could take possession of it as soon as she's approved.
Here in Colorado, 18-year-olds can buy shotguns. Not true in Florida, where Sol Pais lived, after a law change last year upped the minimum age to 21.
She said she was out here visiting friends and wanted to go shooting and possibly hunting. She talked about turkey hunting.
Turns out, according to NBC, Pais looks to have been quite interested in purchasing here prior to her arrival, pushing this question to an online forum on guns. Florida resident here. I am planning a trip to Colorado in the next month or so and want to buy a shotgun while I'm there. And I was wondering what restrictions apply for me. The date of the question, March 29th, a little more than 2 weeks ago.
So here's where things get a bit complex. Federal law says quite clearly that if someone tries to buy a gun in a state that's not his or her home state, the licensed dealer must follow the rules of both states. That did not happen here, but even the Colorado Bureau of Investigation just told me within the last 15 minutes, as of now, quote, There is no indication of any unlawful transaction. Kyle?
Chris, everybody wants these issues around background checks and gun purchases to be safe as instantly as possible. And in fact, they try to make these processes as instant as possible. But at the end of the day, it comes down to people making decisions, inputting information, and then interpreting what they're supposed to do.
And that's precisely what happened in this case. That InstaCheck came back within 20 minutes. It came back cleared. That's when the dealer sold that shotgun to this individual.
All right, Chris VanderBean, thank you for your work. So students return to class tomorrow with extra security after this unprecedented community-wide school closure. Jeffco Schools led the way on that collaborative approach. It is unfortunately among the many scenarios that they have imagined and planned and practiced.
Jeffco really has what I would call the gold standard model of security and response protocols in place, and that comes from our history of school violence, with Columbine being in the district and also our school system having experienced 2 other school shootings. So we have a robust system of school safety and security in place. We are hyper vigilant and take all of these concerns very seriously. But we also don't want to overreact to them.
Former Columbine High School principal Frank Angelus happened to be at Columbine yesterday when the initial lockout happened. He spoke today about what has happened in the 20 years since the initial shooting. But this man, with his perspective, wanted to make sure that no one allows this week's events to overshadow how far they have come.
The one thing that is so different from this time as opposed to 20 years ago is all the things that we have in place. Prior to that time, the only drills we did were fire drills. And yesterday, as soon as there was an alert to go in lockdown, Columbine High School acted so professionally. You know, it's very important that we continue to look at what happened 20 years ago, but at the same time not let it detract from what we're hoping to do this week. And the support was so great when Jeffco got together.
Let's not forget, students need a voice. These are their schools. This is their reality. A Chatfield High School junior took to Twitter to share his thoughts and agreed to share them with us here.
I've lived here my whole life, and I've never seen the school this empty. It's just eerie and a little sad, really. I'm Adam Busic. I'm a junior at Chatfield here. I was thinking that this case seemed a lot more serious than any bomb threat or shooting threat that we've had in the past. And I thought that I just needed to get some words out there and just kind of write down how I was feeling. So I spent about half hour just writing and rewriting a real long thread on Twitter. I said this thread might get a little bit dark, but this is a subject that has been weighing on me heavily tonight. Obviously, I care about everybody at Columbine and the safety of everybody at Columbine. But I think this is about more than just Columbine. It's about everybody who attends a Jeffco school. On the left shoulder of my backpack that I wear to school every day, I have a pin from a March for Our Lives, which I attended last year. In accordance with the mission with My Last Shot, in the event that I am killed in a school shooting, I want members of the media to publish pictures of my corpse. And I want a picture of that pin on my backpack to be right there next to me. Because maybe then Congress won't be allowed to ignore these issues anymore. It's unfortunate that you have to think about, in the event that I'm killed in something like this, what do I want to happen after my death? And it's a shame that this is our reality.
Adam told our photojournalist Brian Wendland that he is ready to get back to school tomorrow. So let's take a step back now to look back at the last time that such terror was inflicted on so many schools across Colorado. It was the day of the Columbine shooting in 1999. There were school shutdowns across the state. But look back farther to the last time that I could find when there were so many schools preemptively telling parents, don't send your children here today. We cannot protect them from danger. That was all the way back in 1918, 1919, and 1920 during the Spanish flu epidemic. Communities across Colorado could not stop the spread of the disease, so they tried to stop people from being together, being close, where influenza could jump from the sick to the healthy. Today's unprecedented school shutdown reflects a new epidemic, a new sickness, one we seem equally as unable to stop. Communities across Colorado had no cure in 1918, so they fought the Spanish flu by sealing themselves off from each other. That's not going to stop this current contagion. It'd probably make it worse. If there is a cure to our social sickness, it must be doing the opposite, bringing people closer together. How to keep our community safe will obviously be among the topics we discuss tonight with some of the people who want to lead the city of Denver. A word in a moment about our mayoral debate tonight. And I bet we could all use a distraction. You know what the new Broncos schedule would do? Let's talk about something mindless and fun, like the schedule that came out a few minutes ago. We interrupt the playoffs for the Avalanche and the Nuggets to talk about the Broncos. What else, right? But just for a minute. Broncos schedule just dropped this afternoon. For the first time in 9 seasons, they're going to open on the road. Denver goes to Oakland for Monday night against the Raiders. It's one of only 2 primetime games for the Broncos. Woof. They do not think much of us this year. But our home opener, week 2, should be lots of fun. It's against Coach Vic Fangio's former team, the Chicago Bears. Our Broncos guy, Mike Kliss, caught up with the coach.
Late bye, same week as last year, and it worked out pretty good for the Broncos. They won 3 in a row after the bye. But this year, with the early start, the 5 preseason games, any concern that the bye is maybe a little later than you would like?
No, I've never had a bad bye. Early, middle, late. To me, it has no impact.
There's a stretch of home games going into the bye, and then a stretch of road games coming out of the bye. How do you look at that? It's that even with the home games, it's kind of a gauntlet of quarterbacks, starting with Aaron Rodgers. You know that pretty well, and then all those road games on the other side.
Well, again, it's just I don't really care about the order they give it to us. The only bad thing about that is we'll be gone for a month before in between home games for the home fans. So I don't like to be away from Mile High that long, but that's the way it goes.
And Chicago, week 2, your Bears home opener. Did that pop off the schedule for you?
Well, I only looked at the first couple, to be honest with you. And when I saw them there, I said, well, we'll get rid of that one early. So there won't be much talk between myself and friends there for the whole season. So we'll get it out of the way.
All right, Coach. 8 at home, 8 on the road. They haven't changed yet.
Nope. And the order's different every year.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
High clouds above my head here in the 9 backyard. We've got blue skies around the area, even with the storm churning to our south. Temperatures today average in the low 60s, comfortable weather. And this storm system is triggering severe weather across Texas, Oklahoma, and may produce a stray shower here yet in the Denver metro area before all is said and done. Travel will be disrupted by our southern storm, St. Louis to Memphis down to the Dallas area with large hail, the potential for tornadoes tonight. We have a little wave that'll move through Wyoming early tomorrow morning, and then high pressure sets up, so we'll keep it a little unsettled around here with a stray shower tonight, isolated showers tomorrow, and then sunshine and temperatures warming up nicely. And a mild night for you as well. We've got overnight lows in the upper 30s with partly cloudy skies. Temperatures tomorrow will be trending upward, low to mid 60s expected, and then we get you into the 70s for both Friday and Saturday. Unfortunately, an early morning cold front on Easter Sunday means the chance for showers and cooler weather. The showers linger into Monday, and then temperatures warm back to the 60s Tuesday and low 70s the middle part of next week. Kyle.
Kathy, thank you. New oil and gas regulations will give local communities in Colorado some control to crack down on where they think the industry should operate. Democratic presidential candidate Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren came to Colorado this week and called for an even wider crackdown, banning new drilling on all federal lands. So in Colorado, the Bureau of Land Management leases 3.7 million acres for oil and gas operations, 4,700 leases all told. The dark area on the map shows you where those current leases are located. A ban like the one that Senator Warren is talking about would prevent any new leases from being sold in every pink area on that map of Colorado. That is all the federal land. Some of it has oil and gas, and some of it is rather undeveloped. Hey, quick reminder that shortly after next tonight at 7 o'clock, I invite you to join me for our debate in the race for Denver mayor. There's Marshall Zellinger, along with Manny Sotelo and Jerry Van C. It looks like they're getting ready for the debate, guys. We'll check in with one of you, whoever's mic'd up, about what to expect next. If you are a voter in Denver, check your mailbox. You should have your ballot. Whether you're in Denver or you just care about where that city is going to steer our state, you should pick out a beverage of your choice and get ready for our mayoral debate. It is live tonight at 7 o'clock. I am moderating, and politics guy Marshall Zellinger, it will be there for adult supervision. And there is right on the other side of this very studio.
Yes, and I think the decision has been made for us of what we'll be drinking. We'll be putting water or coffee, I guess, into these mugs. Kyle, you know we're going to have the debate with the 4 top Denver mayoral candidates that could express to us that they have the best chance to win. And we've got a graphic showing you which 4 will be joining me in front of these lecterns here. We have Lisa Calderon, who is a social justice advocate and criminal justice professor. Jamie Gillis, former head of the Rhino Art District and a development consultant. You know the face of Mayor Michael Hancock, elected in 2011 in a runoff against former state Senator Chris Romer, then re-elected without that runoff in 2015. And on the right there, former state lawmaker Penfield Tate. Our debate will be live in so many places you have no excuse not to watch. The race for Denver Mayor, Comcast, Channel 20, Channel 20 on Comcast is Channel 5 and 657. I got to get that right. We'll be on your phone on the 9 News app, the Facebook page on 9 News, and the next Facebook page. There is no excuse not to watch what we'll be doing tonight. And you know, on Next, we like to be transparent. We'll show you the 4 lecterns. I've learned they're not called podiums. They're called lecterns. We'll show you the cameras that will be facing those candidates. We'll show you the background here of 9 News as I walk the 30 feet. Where are you taking me, Marshall? Oh, we're going to just do this nice transition right back to Kyle here. I shouldn't turn my back. I shouldn't do that. Right back to Kyle over there. Right there.
You're blocking me.
Sorry.
Thank you. We'll have your feedback next. The most Colorado thing we saw today, it's a little wild, like this state. Next viewers Larry and Jen Frohart say that they saw a goose in a parking lot at 88th and Sheridan, drove by once, returned 30 minutes later, and there it was, still parked on stop with the same car. They checked back a few days later, same car, same place, no goose. But there was stuff the goose left behind. Send your most Colorado pictures to next@9news.com or get our attention anytime with the hashtag HeyNext. I was grateful today that my daughter's just 1 year old, that she was not home from school, that she wasn't old enough to expect any kind of explanation about why 500,000 kids in Colorado were not able to go learn with their friends. I do not envy the parents who had to come up with the words to offer that explanation today, but it looks like a next viewer named Lex did a pretty good job, because here is what Lex's 9-year-old son Carson drew in response to learning that he was not going to be able to go to school at Montessori Peaks in Littleton today. Carson's message for us all: world peace wins. Maureen Farrell writes into us tonight with a comment that really resonates about some people that we talked about earlier in the day as we broke into programming to discuss the events, but didn't get into it all on Next. Maureen Farrell writes, grateful that the threat is over, heart aching for her parents. The young woman who came to Colorado perhaps intending harm to students here, who is now dead at her own hand. Her parents, by all account, cooperated fully with investigators, even perhaps when they realized that doing so might put their daughter in some danger. We should be grateful to them. See you next time.